Hello everyone and welcome to a game a lot of you have requested, not this game in particular, but you wanted me to check up on Ding Liren and inform you guys on how he's doing in qualifying for the Candidates Tournament. All the other spots of the Candidates Tournament have been filled and now we are waiting for Ding to finish playing all of his games. So this is the last game he played in the Hangzhou Grandmaster Tournament, and now he already started a 6-game match against Wei Yi. We're going to discuss that after we check out the game. But first, let's focus on this, and then we're gonna check out on how he did in this tournament, and then what is up with Ding next, and how he will be able to finally qualify for the Candidates Tournament. So let's check it out. The game is very interesting. It's it's an opening you guys know all too well. It's the Catalan opening, but the line that the Ding chooses against the opening is something not everyone can employ. It's very tricky, and you really have to know what you're doing. So let's check it out and see how it went. He's playing against Xiangyu, another Chinese Grandmaster, and for those of you who are maybe interested in that, Shu in Chinese means brilliant rising sun. I was checking up on how to properly pronounce Chinese names, and then I also stumbled upon this. So maybe if you guys are interested in that, now you know. So let's see how it went. Shu opens with c4. So we open, sorry, not with c4, with d4. We have knight to f6 by Ding, c4, e6, knight to f3, and d5. The queen's gambit declined is on the board, and we have g3, the Catalan opening. Bishop to b4 check by Ding, knight b to d2, and now d captures on c4. So this is all very standard stuff, and now usually white will just fianchetto the Catalan bishop here with bishop to g2, but Shu goes for a3 now. First challenges Ding's bishop, asking, are you maybe interested in capturing on d2? And Ding is. This is considered the main line against this line. Bishop captures on d2, bishop captures, and bishop to d7 now. Here we have e3, opening up an attack towards the c4 pawn, and now everyone played bishop to b5 in this position, but the Ding plays, sorry, not b6, Ding plays b5, and it is now already, as of move 8, that we have a completely new game. And if you've seen any Catalan games, you know how dangerous it can be to open up this diagonal for this light square bishop. So let's see how white goes about this b5 idea. Now the real problem behind b5 is, yes, you are defending your c4 pawn at the moment, but white can very easily undermine this structure with a move like b3 or a4. Now it's only a matter of what white will do here. If you try a4, then the idea is just a castle. That's the point. And now after knight e5, preparing bishop to g2, we play c5, challenge white's center, and finally after bishop to g2, we can put a knight on d5. And now black is very comfortable here. He equalized without much trouble, and if something like a captures, we're still going to play bishop captures on b5. And now what can you play? D captures on c5, a5, and black's a5 and the c4 pawns are incredibly strong here, and black can be very happy with himself. So instead, after b5, Shu decides to challenge Ding's structure with b3. Ding captures here, we have queen captures, and now a6. Now the b5 pawn is defended, and again, you are very happy about your position. So knight to e5, preparing bishop to g2, and now Ding plays knight to c6. And this is the kind of trickery that you have to know in order to play this line with a move like b5. Bishop to g2, attacking the knight, and now how are you saving your knight? Obviously, if you move it, bishop captures on a8 is coming, but not really. Here, Ding just captures the knight. And now the problem is, if bishop captures on a8, notice that the white king still hasn't castled. We're just going to play queen captures, attack the rook, and black just wins here. Or if you move the rook, then even knight to f3 check, and this is just unplayable for white. So after knight captures on e5, we first have to capture, attacking the knight and the rook, but Ding defends everything very easily by playing knight to d5. And now here we have bishop to a5. Another great move by Shu, because, well, it seems like you could capture on d5, but not really. This is not possible. If captures, we can just castle here. And now, how are you playing this with white? If you don't castle, just bishop to h3 will be a huge problem. And if you castle, then it's still a huge problem. Just bishop to h3. Now your rook is hanging, and also your queen is hanging. So you might trade queens here, but it doesn't really matter. Now the bishop is hanging, also the rook is being attacked, and if rook d1, bishop g4, and that's it. it. There's no way out of this for white. So that's why bishop to a5. We're gonna put pressure on the c5 pawn because we still know that c5 has to be played at some point. So here we have castles by Ding and castles by Shu. We have queen to c8, now preparing to push the pawn to c5. The pawn is no longer pinned. And now rook a to c1. We have c5. Now the passed c pawn is marching forward. But this also means that you will have to give up a pawn in order to do this. So bishop captures on d5. Shu accepts the challenge. E captures and queen captures on d5. And now c4. So Ding continues pushing the passed pawn. And now here comes a move that you might not expect, but f3 is really a very strong move. The problem is, of course, white would want to win the open d file. It seems like a great idea, but if you play something like rook f to d1, then we can play bishop to c6. Just move the bishop out of the way, grab hold of this diagonal, and now you have to be very careful of what you do, otherwise queen h3 will be huge trouble. So queen c5 can be played. Okay, now queen can't go to h3 because the bishop is hanging, but now bishop to f3, and again, black is the one who's going to win the e file. The d file. And now let's say queen captures. We're going to play rook captures on c8. And now rook to d7. As the rook was attacked, you bring the rook to the 7th rank, but still rook fe8. We attack the e5 pawn. And after something like bishop to c3, now we play rook e to d8. And now it's definitely black who will win the d file. The bishop covers the d1 square. So not a lot of fun for white. You're going to have to play a passive move like bishop to d4, just not to allow black to completely win the d file, and it's a better position for black. So instead, after c4 we have f3. Now the bishop will not be as powerful on this diagonal, and now rook to e8. We put pressure on the e5 pawn, and now comes rook c to d1. Here a proper way to play this with white would be something like queen d4, move the queen out of this diagonal, and then play e4, and then the light square bishop will not be such a big deal. But after rook c to d1, the problem is now, okay, the bishop is attacked, but the Ding just moves it with tempo, attacks the rook here, and now you don't have the d1 square for this rook, and now you have to play either rook to e1 or rook f to f2. Rook f to f2 is played, and now another great move by Ding, rook to a7. So you can see that now currently white controls the d file as the bishop controls d8, the queen and rook, or everyone controls the d8 square. The problem is there's no way for white to actually use this, because now rook to d7 will be is a huge problem for white. So white stops this. We have g4. Now the bishop no longer guards the d7 square, and the bishop might be somewhat misplaced here, but not really. Now Ding could continue with something like rook a to e7 to go after the e5 pawn, but now Ding says, all right, you've made a hole in front of your king, time to open up the white king's position. h5. Now we're threatening to just start grabbing on g4, and here is a moment where white really could make a difference in the game, but he has to play a very precise move. And the move, you might even want to pause the video. Try to find the absolute best move for white here. It doesn't even give white a good position. It's just the absolute best that white has. So while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on spotting this hidden resource that was missed in the actual game. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is pawn to e6. We make use of this pawn being on h5. Now we're threatening to pick up the h5 pawn. Also, we're putting some pressure on this f7 square, but the position is much more complicated than you might imagine. Now the actual line goes h captures on g4. Now we don't really gain anything by capturing on f7 because the rook also guards that, but there's queen to d7. Now good luck finding this after e6. So of course Shu probably considered e6, but if you don't find queen to d7, you don't really get all that much out of this line. Rook captures on d7. Now pawn captures on d7, and now it seems like, okay, you're gonna capture something here, but not really. You're not going for that. You're going for pawn to d8 because the bishop and the rook will be covering the d8 square. So here black's best option is to just play something like queen captures on d7, and after rook captures on d7, it seems that now white is completely winning, but Ding would have a hidden resource here, that is g3, attacking both of the rooks. This is well, one of the craziest line that was not played in the game that we've seen in a while. And now after you move one of the rooks, let's say rook d1, you're gonna capture here, king captures, and now you get this position where it's an endgame. Ding would be up a pawn, bishops of opposite color. So black is a little bit better, probably not enough to push for something. So congratulations to everyone who found this. It was missed in the game. Rook f to d2 was played, fully gaining control of the open d file. Now the d file definitely belongs to white, but again, this is only it only appears that way. So now Ding could again go after the e pawn, but he goes h captures on g4. He wants to open up the position in front of the white king. Now comes queen to e4, a very dangerous move, now threatening rook to d8, but now c3. Attacking the rook here, rook to d8, and now comes pawn to c2. Complete madness on the board. What's even happening here? So the thing is, you can't really capture the queen because then black captures the rook on d1 and promotes his pawn to a queen with check. So this would be completely winning. The only move that white has is rook captures rook with check. We have queen captures rook on e8, and now queen captures on c2. So eliminating this pass pawn, and now rook to d7. So even though white had complete control of the d file, it was never really there for white to take advantage of. And now you have to decide whether you play f4 to keep an eye on your e5 pawn, or you play f captures on g4, which was played in the game. Bishop captures on g4, and now rook to d4, hoping that Ding captures so you can undouble your pawns and maybe start pushing your past d pawn. But this is in fact strongest for Ding. So rook captures, e captures, and now queen to a8. And although the material is completely equal, the bishops are of opposite colors, and whenever you have bishops of opposite colors, it is always better for the side who's attacking, because you have a queen and the light square bishop. If you're attacking the white king, your opponent's dark square bishop will not be able to help defend the king, because you are attacking the light squares, and the dark square bishop will be completely useless here. Of course, white could also utilize this tactic. However, the black king is much safer. So how do you go about this? We have queen to d3, not allowing Ding to infiltrate with queen to f3, also preparing to push your pawn here. And now, while Ding could stop this with bishop to e6, you gain full control over the d5 square. It's a light square. Shu only has a dark square bishop, so you are not crossing that. Ding, in fact, goes for queen to d5. He blocks the pawn completely this way and keeps the bishop on a, well, very active attacking square, that is the g4 square. So bishop to b4. Now comes bishop to d7. We have king to f2. Not much you can do now. Black will start activating his queen. So king f2, and now comes bishop to c6. This is now incredibly difficult for white to play. With perfect play, this could even be a draw, but with the white king so wide open, it's just not something that you that you ever want to play, especially against someone like Ding. It would be tough playing this against anyone, but against the Ding, it's just well, close to impossible. So king e3, we have queen to f3 with check, king to d2, and now queen f2 with check. King c3, now comes queen captures on h2. Ding wins a pawn, but okay, still it's bishops of opposite colors. So bishop to d6, now making some room for the king to hide maybe on the queen side, and queen to h1 now. We have king to b4, now Ding delivers another check, queen e1 check, forcing the king up the board. King to c5, and now bishop to e4, forcing the white queen to a less active square. Queen to b3, and now comes queen to c1 with check. King b6 and queen to c6 with check. King to a5. If you go to a7, of course, you get checkmated. Queen to b7 will be checkmate. So king a5, your only option. And now bishop to d5, forcing the white queen further back. So queen to b4. It looks maybe too dangerous to put a queen on b4, because that's the only square you have for your king to escape. Luckily, there's no square for the Ding to deliver check. If Ding could maybe play queen to d8 check, it'd be game over. So here, first Ding plays queen to bishop to c4. If you try something like queen here to maybe try and deliver this checkmate, we're just going to play queen c5. So we're going to prepare for this. Now, if you deliver checkmate, we can easily block it. So instead, we have bishop to c4. And now comes queen to c5, attacking the queen, and now queen to b7. So just getting out of the way, but still keeping all the pressure. We have bishop to c7, and now king to h7. So now Ding puts the king on a safer square, and he is ready to start pushing his past g pawn. So the sort of a principle of two weaknesses. One weakness being the wide open white king on a5, so white will have to keep the queen or at least the bishop there to prevent checkmate. But still, even if just the bishop is here, the black queen will have too easy a time attacking it, so the white queen will also have to help out. So it's not going to be easy stopping the passed g pawn while also defending against checkmate. So here, queen e7 and queen to e4 now. We have queen back to c5. White can't really do anything. You can just wait and see what happens. And now g5. Ding starts pushing the passed pawn. King captures on a6, but now g4. So we give up a pawn on the queen side, but we continue pushing on the king side. And the material is equal now, but still very, very hard to defend this with white. We have king to a7. Now comes bishop to e6. And this is a very important move before we continue pushing, because a4 will be a problem. You will not be able to capture b captures on a4 because the bishop would be hanging. So first Ding prepares it, bishop to e6, and now we have bishop to b6. If you go for queen captures on b5, then g3, and you are not stopping this pawn. Once it gets to g2, it's on a defended square, and you will very easily get to promote this pawn. So instead, after bishop e6, we have bishop to b6, but still g3. We have d5 now. We have to give up a pawn in order to guard this diagonal. So d5, bishop captures on d5, and now queen to c3. Going after the pawn, but also if the pawn is pushed, maybe you can start giving some checks. However, the position is now completely winning for Ding, so feel free to pause the video and try to find the winning idea for Ding while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on spotting this, well, pretty much an instant win. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it's queen to a4 with check. I don't enjoy using pause the video moments that start with check, but here it also involves spotting a very, very interesting idea behind the queen to a4 check. You could also play queen c4, that's perfectly fine, but queen to a4 check is just much, much faster. So congratulations to everyone who decided this. The point is, you have to realize that the endgame, if the queens get off the board, is winning for black. So imagine queen a5, we're going to capture, bishop captures. Now king g6, we're going to play bishop to c3 to try and stop the passed pawn. But now king f5, we're threatening king e4, so bishop cannot come to d4. So bishop to d4 right away, but still king e4. And now you can't keep an eye on the g1 square and on the pawn, and once you move, king captures here. Of course, now black is just up 2 pawns, completely winning. So that's the idea behind queen to a4 check if the queen blocks. So what can you do? Bishop to a5 is played, and now we have king to pawn to g2, just advancing this pawn. Now we're threatening to bring a queen into the game, and Ding had to calculate that queen to h3 will not result in some sort of a perpetual. So queen to h3 with check, king g6, we have queen to d3 with check, now comes king g5, queen to e3 with check, king to g4, and now you don't have queen e2 check because then the bishop blocks with bishop to f3, and then no more checks for you. So king to b8 was played, just for good measure, because there's really no move here that white can play. King to b8 was played, and Ding just picked up the bishop, and well, it was sort of a stylish way for Shu to resign this game. So a brilliant game by both of them, but Ding got the upper hand in this one, and he doesn't only win this game, but he also wins the tournament with a brilliant score of 10.5 out of 12. So out of 12 games, he won 9 games and drew only 3 games, which is really incredible. And here you can see that he won quite a lot of rating points. He won 10.8 rating points, and he is now on the live ratings list. He is second behind Magnus Carlsen. Let me just so you can see everything. He's now second on the FIDE live rating list with 2809, overtaking Firuja, who was number 2 before Ding started his new ascent. Well, he just has to play enough games, but he's also winning rating. So that will be great. And if he manages to play all of the games, he will be a great candidate of the next candidates tournament. And here you can see, I told you, let me just load this up since I haven't prepared it. Sorry about this. We said that Ding already started his match against Wei Yi. So here's a nice photo of that. Let me just fix this a little bit. Against Wei Yi. This is the first game already being played. While I was recording this, the game was still in progress. It might have finished already, so we're probably going to show a few games from this match as well. This is just for you to check out the setting. So there you have it. Let's enjoy that for a little bit. Wei Yu of China rated 27-29 against Ding Liren, who is still 27-99, as this is only the live ratings list. So yeah, there we have it. Very, very nicely done by Ding. We'll see if he will be the last candidate of the candidates tournament, or will something completely unexpected happen and we will have to look for a replacement for Ding yet again. So yeah, that's the game. I hope you guys enjoyed it and that you were successful in spotting those two pause the video moments correctly. I would like to thank Christian Janot, Matthew Chestnut, Murmur's Gambit, OpenSea Smoky Dule, and OpenSea Smoky Dule for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check two of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon. Continuing to check up on how Ding's doing, and of course, checking up on your wonderful suggestions. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.